Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Ghosts and Spirits Special Edition video. Well, for this video, I thought I would mix a special treat for everyone here, and it has to do with my very own shadow people encounters, or closest thing that I could consider to shadow people. And the reason why I'm mixing this in here is because just the other day, both on my community tab and then my Facebook page and then also my Instagram page, I posted an item there showcasing what looks like to be just a purported image of the Hat Man, which is the most famous of the shadow people, although I think it's more of just like an illustration rather than an actual photograph. But in any case, I asked people there, fellow YouTubers and other subscribers, to share their own experiences, just to see if anyone has either an experience with the Hat Man or with any other type of shadow people. And it became a very popular post. Like, there was a bunch of comments on there, a bunch of views as well. So I was thinking to myself, I have had my own encounters just these past couple of years, but they were after the fact. And what I mean is, I never saw these particular shadow people in front of me, but rather they ended up being on some of my evidence, either on photos or on a video as well. And so I thought I would share that here, and at the same time ask everyone one more time, all your fellow YouTubers, if you wanted to have your own experience shared, whether it's with a shadow person or more infamously with the Hat Man. And I'll include the link below also, not just for my shadow people video, but also the link for the Arlington cemetery, the one that I'm going to feature here in a few minutes, and also regarding the Hat Man too. So let's go ahead and let's share that information for you as far as my own encounters, and then again, please post your own information below too. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in several clips associated with one of my encounters, and what's really neat is that this was pointed out by a fellow YouTuber. In fact, let's go ahead and let's do that first. So here I am in Arlington at a cemetery known as the Cemetery of Lost Infants, and this is a place that's buried deep within the University of Texas there in Arlington. When I say it's buried deep, it's like really deep. Like, you have to go to a park there, I think it's called the Doug Russell Park, and you have to continue walking straight into it, almost as if you're getting towards the very edge. And then lo and behold, right when you get to a certain point, past some large set of foresty type trees, very important trees, which I'll talk about more here in just a moment, that's where you'll see this. This is the actual cemetery itself. I've been here now 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a 4th. I can't recall if it was a 4th time. But the reason why I love going here is not only because to pay tribute to these lost infants. These were infants that were born but then just quickly died for various reasons, and some of them so quickly, in fact, that they don't even have names. And if you go there to the tombstones, you'll in fact see numbers rather than the actual names of the infants. But I also like it there because it's a great way to do an investigation unimpeded, meaning you can go there, and because it's so isolated, you're not going to have too much interference. In fact, when I've gone there several times at night, it's been by myself and me being able to just explore as is, even though I imagine it's probably a little bit more restricted at night. Still, though, the gate is fully wide open, the park is fully wide open, so why not? And then when you go there, that's where you'll see this. Now, as far as the encounters that people have had here at this park, several of them definitely stand out. For starters, there at the actual location of the cemetery, people state that they hear the cries of little children, or they'll state that they'll hear other type of sounds, like children playing, something along those lines. I did hear children playing once when I was there someplace nearby, and I couldn't quite locate it where it was, and so that stood out to me as well. Another sensation that people get is they feel almost like they have little children tugging at their legs, like a little child would, like let's say if they want to be held. That's what they essentially have that happen there. And people also state that if you leave little treats, like if you have a toy that you bring along, which is something that I did last time as well, then when you do so, then the children are more active, or the infants are more active to come out and quote unquote play. And when they do so, they're supposed to make the toy move. And I did have that happen as well. This is a teddy bear, in fact, that I saw there. I didn't bring this one. In fact, it was there already. but I purposely propped it up and then left it as is. And then I went to explore another area. When I came back, it was tilted over. And that was so amazing to see because there it's so isolated. There's no wind. It's not like there's a large gust of wind that'll come in and knock it over. So I think something definitely was trying to communicate with me there. It's not an uneven ground either. There's nothing that would really cause it to tip over, especially something with that kind of weight. And so that's where I thought that, again, something would come out and say hello, and they did. Now, the most fascinating part, though, about the cemetery is this. When you go there, surrounding that location are these trees. This is the trees that cause an unsettling feeling with a lot of people that travel there. And that's because of this. Apparently, shadow people, that's right, shadow people themselves love to haunt those particular trees. I don't know why. Maybe it's they're drawn to the fact to the children obviously being lost and having their lives taken at such a young age. Maybe they're just naturally attracted to that, or maybe there's something else about the land itself. But for whatever reason, these shadow people dwell within those trees, and they've been known to dart really quick between them. As always, it's one of those things where you can't really see them up front. Instead, it's probably through peripheral vision, but people do see them, and when they do, they move exceptionally fast. And so the first time I was there, one of the earlier times was during the daytime, and then the rest of it was at night. Never really had an encounter myself, except for one time at night when I was there. I could have sworn, and other YouTubers heard it as well, when I would take steps, and these steps were purposeful steps, like I was moving cautiously between the trees there at night, I was naturally stepping on grass and leaves. Well, I heard it, and others heard it there on my YouTube channel, that there was a mimicking step right after mine. Like, in other words, I took a left step, and then there was a step right after it. I took a right, and then there was another one right after it. Almost as if something was right behind me, but nothing clearly was. I was 100% by myself, and I heard it ongoing for a good time period, maybe a couple of good moments, and I knew that, again, something was there with me. I wasn't really scared at that point. There's nothing really that scares me with regards to those entities that are there. They didn't seem to give off any bad feelings, but I knew that something was there. Now, as far as the actual real evidence, the one that truly stood out was this. There was a live stream that I took, and when I was going about that particular area one more time, the one involving the trees with the shadow people, I caught this. I didn't see it, but some YouTubers saw it, and they pointed it out immediately on one of the live streams, like one of those chats, I guess you could call them, that pops up. And so because I didn't see it initially, then I had to look at it afterwards to review, and that's where you'll see this. So I'm going to play this clip several times, maybe about 5-6 times or so, and you tell me what you see. I'll briefly describe. You're going to see a shadow-like thing darts towards the bottom of my screen real quickly, almost as if right when I'm turning the camera, almost as if I caught it by accident. Like, there it was right next to me, and all of a sudden my camera is turning towards it, and then that's where I ran into it. So let me know what you guys think, and then I'll be back. So that one is there. I remember there was another one. It was like a white tag that somebody placed. I'll see if I can find it, but so that one is there. I remember there was another one. It was like a white tag that somebody placed. I'll see if I can find it, but so that one is there. I remember there was another one. It was like a white tag that somebody placed. I'll see if I can find it, but so that one is there. I remember there was another one. It was like a white tag that somebody placed. I'll see if I can find it, but so that one is there. I remember there was another one. It was like a white tag that somebody placed. I'll see if I can find it, but all right, wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that fascinating? Seeing something like this, something that not only looks like a very dark shadow, but it also distorts my very live stream itself. When I saw it, I was just aghast. Like, when I finally was able to review it later that night in my hotel room, that's when I was just blown away with what I witnessed. And I was hoping that this video would get more views afterward because of that type of evidence. So it never really has. So I'm glad to be able to, again, share it with everyone here. So again, if you want to go to that location and have potentially an encounter with shadow people, not only that, but of course the infants there associated with the cemetery of lost infants, then you go there to that particular cemetery there in Arlington, pretty much open all day and presumably all night. And when you do so, you'll have an isolated place to be able to hunt. As always, though, please be respectful. These are children, lost infants there that never really had a chance. And so there have been investigations that I've seen other people do there, and they are always very respectful as well. So that's the main mantra whenever you go to that specific location. Now, the next area that I encountered a shadow person, again, I didn't see it at front. In fact, I was looking at the evidence afterward, was this place. This is called the Yoakum Hospital there in Yoakum, Texas. This is an abandoned hospital, one that was very quickly abandoned. In fact, it was shut down pretty much like over a weekend because of the lost money that it had. And so when that happened, if you go there to this day on a ghost hunt, you'll see how it looked like back when it was shut down. I think it was in the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a state of living decay. It's a fascinating place to visit and hunt because you'll have plenty of floors to do so, including a basement. And when you go there, that's where you'll encounter several entities. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. In fact, there's one that's pretty bad there, and this one is either by the name of Edwin, Edgar, or Edward, if I'm not mistaken. We couldn't really narrow it down to what specific name it was. It was one of those three, but this was a very intimidating ghost. It would follow us throughout all the floors, and I could feel it staring at me with a pretty bad intention from a certain corner. And that was one of the first times that I never actually went to that specific corner. I'm pretty brave on these things. Like, I'll usually just, if I know something is there, I'll go straight towards it because I want to experience it right there. But not in this case. In this case, this thing was following us and just giving us such bad vibes throughout the whole night that we actually called it quits early because of it too. But in any case, that's that one. Another one that you actually see there are another thing involving children. And these children is because they had a specific floor there that apparently was used at the time to care for sick children, and naturally there were some unfortunate deaths that came from their sicknesses. And so if you go there and you do some ghost hunts, you'll experience a very similar thing where children will be about, these little ghost children, and then they'll want to play around with you, they'll hug your legs, they'll make sounds as well. In fact, there's an area there specifically, if you wanted to narrow it down, that'll be near the baby infant area where babies were born, and then that's where you would have a much better chance. So as I usually do on my ghost hunts, whenever I have a bunch of pics taken, I love randomly just turning around. It's because I kind of caught it from Ghost Adventure, seeing so many of their early episodes. I would see, especially Nick Groff, the way that he would move about with his camera. Like, he would focus on one thing and then all of a sudden just turn for like 5 seconds towards another area and then turn back. It's that thing where, again, you want to catch something that normally you wouldn't catch and have it be spontaneous. Very exactly the same thing like I did by accident over at the Arlington Cemetery when I caught that shadow person there at the Cemetery of Lost Infants. So here, in one case, I was sketching an area, just taking pictures, and then I turned and I immediately just took a picture of a hallway, and this was the hallway you're looking at now. And this particular hallway, nothing stood out. I didn't see anything there, but for the fact afterward, when I looked at the evidence, that's when I caught this. Apparently something was saying hello right from a very corner, and it was something very small, almost like a child, no? And there it was, just like a child would. It would peer right across the corner almost nervously, almost as if it was inspecting me. It had no idea that I was there to take its picture. And I caught it, and I was glad to do so, and I'm glad to be able to share with everyone here. So if you go there again to the Yoakum Hospital, again, be wary about that Edgin, whatever that entity's name was that we couldn't quite narrow down. But if you're mindful of him, then at least you'll be able to catch, hopefully, some evidence involving these poor children that are stuck there. In fact, we kind of think in the Ghost Government called Spectre that this other entity, this bad one, almost seems to control these children. Like it doesn't let them play like it normally would. Like we experienced it at 1.2 where we had a lot of communication with the children, both through EVPs and then little toys bouncing around here and there. And then when Edwin or Edgar, whenever they made its appearance, all of a sudden that communication stopped. And then we knew that the children were scared of it, just like it was like almost intimidating us. And so again, if you go there to Yoakum Hospital, who knows, you might just capture a little child ghost, a little child shadow person, just like this, peering around the corner. And then the third encounter that I had with a shadow person, again, I didn't know it was there when I took the picture. I didn't see it, but it had to do with this location. It's called the Magnolia Hotel, or the Haunted Magnolia Hotel there in Seguin, Texas. This is a beautiful hotel that has gone through lots of restoration. Jim and Aaron are the owners now, and they have gone through some, like maybe about 5 years ago, so many days of just going in and just restoring it, but their whole plan making it be almost as beautiful, if not more, than it was when it was first opened back in the 1800s. And now, today, finally, it's a B&B. In fact, some of you saw some of my pictures there from my recent stay as well. So if you go there, you'll have guided ghost tours, which are good, and then you'll have overnight ghost hunts, which are even better. I haven't gone on those yet, but apparently you'll have like a good amount of hours at night, almost into the early morning to do so. And then finally you'll have the B&B stay, like I did, where you can stay there all night long and play around with the 13 ghosts. There's no less than 13 ghosts that are there roaming around that location. And if you go there, just be mindful. These ghosts are permanently there, apparently, and they are there. You're their guest as opposed to them being yours, and you want to make sure that, again, you're respectful to them. Not only that, because of the fact that they have so many other guests that stay there too. You don't want to accidentally piss them off. But I was there on one of the guided tours. This is the more limited one, where Jim and Aaron take you across several locations, the first floor, second floor, and then the basement, and then one other area, like a cellar area. But if you go to that that specific tour, that one of the locations is the dilapidated one. That's where they've left it unrestored, and that's on purpose. That's to make sure it showcases to everyone how it looks like today if it was never restored. And this is actually the more haunted area. There's a location there called the Murderer's Hallway, which is a spot where there was a murderer, someone that killed a poor young woman and I think severely harmed another young woman at the same time. Not at the hotel, it was at a different place, but that person made their stay at that specific hotel in a specific room. And that's where apparently they stayed there for a good time period. And for whatever reason, after that person died, after that murderer died, they have in turn haunted that particular hallway. That's why it's called the Murderer's Hallway. Well, I was taking pictures nearby that hallway, specifically towards that location, and that's when I captured this. This is apparently another shadow person that I captured there. I'll mention this, nobody was there. Nobody from the entire tour was there. We were all in the area that I was taking a picture from, so nobody was at that specific spot. So when I took a picture, I had no idea something was there, and only after again inspecting it afterward, then I could clearly see that there was this big hulking shadow person right there in that specific spot. And you can tell, again, the deep black shadows that are normally associated with shadow people, how there's like no light that can penetrate them, and that's what apparently this picture shows. And so who knows if I captured that particular murderer or if it was one of the other 10 plus 13 ghosts that are there as well. But either way, when I looked that's when I saw that I had that specific spot. So those are at least my 3 encounters, if you call those, that I've had with shadow people. So one there at the Cemetery of Lost Infants, one there at the Yoakum Hospital, and then one there at the Haunted Magnolia Hotel. And those are the closest that I've had to encounters. Thankfully, I have not had any, let's say, on a more personal level. Those are the ones where people state that they have them in their home, standing above their bed. Everywhere that they turn, there's always a little glitch, a little shadow that suddenly turns away or moves away or anything along those lines. So I will be very happy to hear if anyone has their own experiences as far as shadow people. If you wanted to do so, please post those comments there below, and then that way we'll be able to hear or see at least what those encounters are. And then more specifically, if anyone has an encounter with the hat person or the hat man, that's the big one. That's the one that apparently is the bad one. Then I'll be very, very happy to see those particular comments too. But this will be a great forum. It'll be a great way to, again, share everyone's encounters and then make it a more of a lively discussion. So, all right, everyone. I hope you like this special edition video. And again, check out the links that I have below as far as the live stream and then also the Shadow People video and then also the Hatman video. And that pretty much will be all of the videos that I've dedicated to this subject. All right, everybody. Nice skin as always. Take care.